Thanks, Adam. So I think the sort of problem solution I'll focus on, given that I'm sitting next to Kathy Jacobs, who's much better qualified to talk about anything I would say about USGCRP. No, not that there, is sort of the culture. Sorry, the culture question. So while I was doing research on the USGCRP, I had this sort of strange moment in one of my interviews where I realized there was a connection between the education and training intervention that I was doing and sort of the question of how science is managed for usability in the USGCRP, wherein this idea of how current program managers are enculturated in their labs leads to a particular view of how science and society relate. And when they get out of their labs and go out into the world as sort of academics or in any set of career tracks, they sort of reinstantiate that view in the world. And so Science Outside the Lab, the program I evaluated for my dissertation, it's one of the ways that the Consortium for Science Policy and Outcomes is trying to affect sort of change in the culture of science, really just shows the full circle link in terms of the long view that the culture change happens. So I think having this group here right now together, thinking about a long-term vision for affecting educational change is critical, because there are a lot of venues in which the status quo mode of thinking about science and society perpetuate themselves. So whether it's having sort of AAAS train fellows the way they train fellows, the Presidential Management Fellowship integrate folks into science agencies, or even just the sort of standards for the 40,000 students that graduate with degrees in science and engineering every year, right? So thinking about ways to use some of that $20 million to build capacity for sustaining that education and training component, so that there's a larger counter narrative that gets taken up, so that this network grows as well and has a landing pad in the future of the managers and other roles. So that's what I'd say.